We had waited 60 years for their next message. Finally, the time was upon us. Our greatest technological breakthroughs had been dictated by this distant alien race. Since we received their first signal centuries ago, their vast knowledge had become ours. A cure to our deadliest diseases, technological breakthroughs beyond our wildest imaginations, scientific concepts our greatest minds couldn't have dreamed of. It was all in our grasp. Neither of our races had conquered faster than light travel. Contact was limited by the 20 light-year distance between our two planets. They had received our last response 20 years ago. Now, we awaited theirs. I turned to my companion. We were the two tasked with collecting the latest message, deciphering it as quickly as possible, and relaying it to the baying crowds outside. The entire world was watching. We waited in silence in our blank, gray room where we had spent the last month. Our bodies were designed not to need food or sleep or other menial things. We simply sat there, waiting, alone. Our task was a simple one, but the enormity of it was not lost on us. We had trained our entire lives for this moment, to ensure the message was not missed, to get as much data from it as possible. We were global celebrities, asked to predict the message too. But our world had few ills anymore. There were no wars for resources, no poverty, no lack of education, no hunger. That had begged the question, what's next? We were about to find out. Their first signal centuries ago had sent our world into an uproar. After much deliberation, we had decided to send a message back. Some had predicted this would be our doom. What if the aliens were hostile and wanted our world for themselves? We took a gamble. Why not? We wanted to know we were not alone, and they should know too. We got our response 40 years later. It told how they had recently rid themselves of a deadly disease that threatened their entire race. It threatened ours too. That preceded our constant communication, revealing the disparity between us. While we sent primitive responses, they awed us with their technological prowess. We were given more breakthroughs alongside tales of their culture. We learned everything about them. We even learned their language. They were the only alien race we had made contact with. As far as we know, we were theirs. We were seemingly the only two intelligent civilizations in the galaxy, spared an eternity of loneliness by the fortuitous placement of our two worlds. Many scientists had deliberated over this odd fact. Some reasoned that our particular segment of the galaxy might be the most suitable for life, a habitable pocket inside an otherwise dead galaxy. Others suggested it was a product of sampling. There were likely other races, but too distant for us to contact. Others, inevitably, suggested a higher power was at play. Many simply resigned to never knowing the truth. The time was nearly upon us. I looked at the other, and they looked back. We were both breathing heavily now, nervous. All the preparation in the world was not enough for this huge weight on our shoulders. Our room was silent, but I knew that outside the doors, the noise would be unbearable. The cheers, the chants, the cults, the protests. We locked eyes again. Our brains registered the seconds tick on. It was time. An alarm sounded. The message should be here. Every telescope in our planetary system was trained on that distant world, the third rock around a yellow dwarf star. Now, the signal would be reaching us. It would be a split second before the data arrived. We both sat in silence a while longer. The moment passed, but we waited and waited and waited. What was going on? Where was the message? Panic had not set in yet. Historically, the message had always been on time, but perhaps for one reason or another, it was delayed. We would have to wait. And we did, along with the whole world. At first it was minutes, soon it was hours, days. We considered our options. Protocol demanded we wait at least a month. We discussed why the message might be delayed or what might be the cause. While we waited, we monitored their planet. Our most powerful telescopes could see it, albeit only minor details. But there was nothing of note. The planet still existed. We still saw the glow of their lights at night. Nothing had changed. It was not unreasonable to assume the worst outside this room. When we had not emerged, trouble had almost certainly begun. By now, widespread riots and protests would be taking place. Our heavily guarded room could hold off an onslaught for the foreseeable future, but not forever. Time ticked on. Our bodies regulated themselves. Nanomachines kept our muscles strong. Our robotic cells repurposed the air in our room to create nutrients. Our waste materials were broken down and recycled. Finally, we were a day short of a month. Tomorrow, we would open those doors and address the world. We would tell them that there was no message. We would face the repercussions. Before that, we continued to study the planet. Still, there was no change in its appearance. Still, the continents and oceans appeared. The lights shone. Lights. We both thought it. Something was odd. The lights were not constant. At night, an extremely bright light in the southern hemisphere outshone the region. It was subtle, but observing it now with more scrutiny, it was obvious. We looked back over the records. The flashing had begun a month ago. Morse code. A primitive cry from our only companions in the universe. Goodbye. A day later, the planet went dark. We were alone.